Hello and welcome. So for the people who don't know me, like Jess said, my name is Gerard Amsellem, and I do program all over on any kind of art film, classic film, foreign films. And this is really the way how this program here is to reinforce good film and make you think about it and reflect and be able to have a Q&A after. So what I'm going to start, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of painting very briefly and go to Basquiat, tell you a little bit about it. You're going to watch the film, and after we'll have a Q&A. So I'm going to cover everything that I can, every aspect of everything else. So the first is the history of paintings. This, we are in the 1980s in New York City. Basquiat is a part of a movement called neo-Expressionist. So of course, neo-Expressionist remind you abstract expressionist. Abstract expressionist was a movement of painter before, in the 1960s with Rauschenberg and de Kooning and Pollock. So all of these are the good thing to think about history a little bit, to think that the Surrealist painter in Europe started, and after World War II they came here. They influenced the abstract expressionists, who were a group of people, because there is not too many group of painters in the history, work together, and this abstract expressionist go slowly disappearing to have a new race of a new movement called neo-expressionist. In this neo-expressionist, the most important of the painter of the neo-expressionist movement are Jean-Michel Basquiat and Julian Schnabel. It's an extraordinary film for one fact, that Julian Schnabel lived in the 1980s with Jean-Michel Basquiat downtown in New York City. He's a part of the art scene. They are both of them very famous painters. They have been doing very well. And Julian Schnabel, in 1996, if for the people who don't know, Basquiat died at 27 years old, in 28. In 1996, he decided to make a film on Jean-Michel Basquiat. So he's a friend. Julian Schnabel is a painter. This is his first film, and he makes a film on Basquiat. What's so interesting, and he was saying, there is rarely painters who are filmmakers. You are a painter or you are a filmmaker. But to have a painter making a film about another painter who struggled with his life, he gives you a vision of the film which is really kind of extraordinary. And both of them are very famous. And today, Schnabel is more a filmmaker than the painter, because he has made many films after that. So this film gives you a very extraordinary sensitivity of how we see Basquiat, how he represents Basquiat. It's a film which is going to tell you about all his life and the New York City time of the downtown in Soho, for the people who remember Soho in 1980, because I remember. I was there, I came in the States in 1984, so I used to go in Soho in 1984, 1985. This was the artist's place. All the artists were there. And then you can see how they were living together. Warhol was on the top, and so it's going to give you a lot of a good vision of the art scene at the time. But to come back to Basquiat, what a story. I mean, this is like a story, it's hard to believe, So he's born in Brooklyn from an Asian father and a Puerto Rican mother, of course with a dreamer, like into draw and do a lot of different things. At 8 years old, he has a major accident, major car accident. His mother was very supportive of his artistic feelings, and she brings him a book. It was a book on anatomy, or like a physical anatomy of people. And it's so fascinating that this will affect all of his paintings. After this, when he gets to 16, 17 years old, drop out of high school and go in Seoul, sleep on the street. I mean, he had absolutely nothing. He made postcards that he was selling, and he started to be a graffiti artist. So everything, I'm sure you remember the subway of the 1980s, and everything, all the walls covered by everything else. So he worked with another artist, and they really do this. And one day, he meets Andy Warhol, and Warhol is fascinated by his work, and suddenly everything changed. And in such a short period of time, he becomes one of the most successful artists in the world. So this is one of an artist who made about, people think it's a lot of work, but it's just 400 pieces or 450 pieces in his lifetime. And about 85, he sell kind of this painting. Everybody's crazy about this painting. This painting around that, it's not exactly the same one. He was a sculptor about a skull. He was sold for $110 million. So just to give you an idea that there is never painters in the amount of in time of 2 years become the international really like success. So he becomes really, really famous and obviously take a lot of drugs and died of overdose at 28 years old. So you have a life with short, very powerful, great painting, very different than everyone else. And Schnabel, who was there with them and was a good friend of his, like a lot of other people, he was in the crowd. Madonna was in the crowd too. Madonna bought a painting from Basquiat. So you had all these people that, you know, people like filmmaker and all kind of group, and he was too into music. He was a DJ. He loved jazz music. So we're talking a very interesting time for the world. And after this, I can tell you, since the 1980s, there was never really a movement so full of imagination and creativity. Durand Schnabel, who is really famous for his plate. So when you see this painting, it's a painting was made with plates, broken plates. He used to make plates, break them, and put them on the canvas. He is known, and he was really, really famous too. So these guys were like at the top of the art world at that time, and when the Schnabel takes the film and make it his own, he has in the actors, and you will see, David Bowie is Andy Warhol. You're going to see all these famous people. You have all these people that you're going to recognize as these actors who are very, Gary Oldman is inside, all these people who were on this circle. So he knows all these people. And he's doing some very, very extraordinary job of showing you the portrait of Basquiat in a way that nobody has ever seen before. And it's actually the only film he's made. There was like a documentary who was a Radiant Child who was made a few years ago. But so whenever you watch the film, you're going to see it's a very biographical. And Schnabel is in the film because he's telling you about the area of the time and the connection, but he is under a different name, like Alfred Milo, so he put his name under a different name, but he's still in the film. You're going to see all the galleries. You're going to see Mary Boone and all these very important dealers of the 80s, and how he goes through it and makes this extraordinary film. So when you watch the film, try to see whatever you want to talk about it. But when we finish the film and I do the Q&A, I will talk about how the difficulty of the film was it. What did he do that was unusual for a filmmaker? Because he did not have any experience. We're talking he had first film. It's the first film that he makes. So all these elements, we'll talk about it. We'll have a Q&A, and I will answer all the questions. If it's an artistic question, you can ask me, or like a filmmaking question. But one or the other, you're going to have a very good vision of who is or who was Jean-Michel Basquiat, and his play really extraordinary. So in every way, the actors were very different to find, but I will tell you a little bit more after the film, when you watch the film and you enjoy. Anyone watch this film before? Yeah. So if you watch, you're going to remember, this is like, I'm sure like a long time ago, it's going to refresh your memory. And if you never watch it, you're going to see this is one of the most extraordinary and iconic artists in the 20th century. Very little people like this, and he affects the whole world today. A lot of influence too. The thing I can tell you is very interesting too, because Basquiat has a style who can be copied. I was listening on a podcast, they say, even if he made 450 or 450 paintings, there is about 10,000 of them in the world. Because people copy and sell it. There is a very huge market like this. I don't know if you realize there is a copy of fake things, so there is a lot of fake Basquiat flying around, you know. So thank you for coming, and I hope you appreciate this film, but I will be there after and answer all the questions that you have.